What's up, everybody? Anton here from dropshiplifestyle.com. And today, my goal is to hopefully make your life a little bit easier by giving you a simple to follow checklist that you can use whether you're building your first or your next high ticket dropshipping store. So what I did was put this together, and you can either download it to your computer, save it as a PDF. This is what it will look like. You can print it out if you want to do that and literally fill it out manually. Or you can click a link below this video that will open it in Google Drive, and this is what it will look like there. And what I'm going to do in this episode is just take you through it so you understand how it works. But if I can make it as simple as possible, whenever we build new stores, like we've been doing for almost 20 years now, we always follow the same process and we do things in a specific order. And we do that because for certain things to work, you need to complete certain actions first. So if you've followed my podcast and listened to the 300 episodes, or if you've been through a bunch of my YouTube videos and you're like, okay, Anton, I get all this, but I don't know what to do first, download this or open it in Google Drive. It'll make your life a lot easier. Now, before we go through these steps, what I'm going to do is basically give you like simple overviews of each of them, but I'll also just mention that below this episode in the description, I'm going to post links to other relevant episodes I've done on different topics here, just in case you get to a certain step in this checklist and you're like, wait a minute, like what do I actually do there? Again, I will link to any relevant trainings where I have them. Okay, so with that being said, again, if you want to follow along with me in this episode, just scroll to the description and click the link either for the PDF version or for the Google Drive version. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start at the top with the first task. Now, the first task is business formation. You'll see we have two different things that fall into this category. And the reason we do this first is because typically it'll take between sometimes a day, sometimes a week to actually get your business set up. And when I say business, I mean business entity. And that's something that we want to do first so that when it comes time to actually start signing up for different services or contacting suppliers, we actually have our business already established. So we do this first so it's ready when we are. So the very first thing that I would encourage you to do is choose between whether you want to do business as a sole proprietor, as an LLC, or as an S Corp. Now, a sole proprietor is you just doing business as yourself. So let's say I wanted to build a rug store and I built thebestrugs.com, right? That was gonna be my store. Well, it would be Anton Crayley who owns thebestrugs.com. I would be a sole proprietor because there's no business entity. The business entity is me. And in that case, unless I got an EIN number, which we'll discuss shortly, everything would be attached to me personally and my social security number. Now, that is actually how I started, again, almost 20 years ago. But what I will say is back then, I had nothing to lose, right? I was at that time, I think 21 years old. And I basically just said, okay, I'm going to do business. I don't have any assets to protect. And I was not business savvy in the slightest. If you're going to do this though, and you are maybe a little bit older, maybe you have, cash, maybe you have, money invested, maybe you own a home and you want to protect your assets a little bit more and also get tax advantage from your business, I would recommend forming an LLC and electing to have that LLC taxed as an S corporation. I'm not going to get into in this video how that can save you money. I have other videos on that, but it definitely can. So again, if you're serious about this and you know you're going to proceed with all the steps, my advice would be to form an LLC and elect to have that taxed as an S corp. This is something you can do yourself online, but if you want it to be really simple, you can just use a website like LegalZoom.com. They'll set it all up for you. And I think they even have an option where it's free and you only pay the state filing fee. Okay, once you decide on that, and you get your, in that case, LLC information. The next step is to, you see right here, and what we could do literally as you're following this along. Oh, by the way, let me mention this. If you decide to get this in Google Drive and not as the PDF download, if you're watching the video version of this, you could just follow along with me. What you want to do is click on File, and then you want to click where it says Make a Copy. And when it makes a copy, that version will be editable for you. Okay, so do that, make a copy. You'll have this in your own Google Drive account. Then you can edit it. So once you make that decision, you can just simply click right there in the checkbox on the left, and that'll show you completed the first task. You'll also see there is a section we have here on the right for notes. So in here, you could just type in any notes you made. I decided to form an LLC, for example, I used LegalZoom. Whatever notes you want to make at any step, you could do in the right column on this document. Now, once you decide on that, you're going to move on to step 2, which is to apply for an EIN number and a sales tax certificate if you need it. Now, an EIN number everybody should have because this just separates the business from yourself. Now, this is US specific. Whether you live in the US or you're planning on doing business in the US from abroad, you should still get an EIN number. And this is basically the number that you'll be giving suppliers and any other people you work with instead of, again, your social. So you can apply for an EIN number right on the irs.gov website. It costs $0, takes about 5 minutes. And for a sales tax certificate, if you are in a state where sales tax is required, you should register for a sales tax certificate. These are sometimes also called resale certificates, but for this, again, very simple. You could do it online. Just go to Google and Google your state name plus sales tax certificate. Make sure you go to the .gov website of your state and you can apply for one there. Now, once you get to a point where your business is growing and growing and growing over time and you reach an economic nexus in other other states, I should say, then you'll need different sales tax certificates for other states. But Shopify will track all of that for you, which, spoiler alert, we're going to get to Shopify later. So just know you don't need more than one sales tax certificate in the beginning. And for people that are based in a state where there is no sales tax, you don't even need one in the beginning. Now, once we complete those 2 tasks for business formation, we're moving on to niche selection. And the first thing that I'm going to recommend you do is brainstorm 50 niche ideas. Now, for members of our program, the Dropship Blueprint, we have a worksheet document that people work off of here. But basically what you want to do is brainstorm 50 different niche ideas or 50 different product types that you can use to then move through the next steps, which is where you're actually going to research them. Now, we want to have at least 50 because we want to find multiple winners, multiple good ideas. And from there, we're going to pick which one we like the best. But after you brainstorm 50 and you either put them into a Google Sheet or write them down, however you want to do it, the next thing we're going to do is research the average price point. So if you go to Google and search for these products and you go to Google Shopping, what do these things typically sell for? The most popular ones according to Google Shopping, and we want that to be $200 or more. From there, we're going to research competition and we're going to make sure there are 10 or less stores advertising the most popular products in the given niche that we're researching. From there, we're going to research demand and make sure there's at least 10,000 monthly searches for the products we want to sell. And after that, we're going to research seasonality and look back over a 5-year period to see if the niche is seasonal, meaning it peaks for a few months a year and then falls off a cliff and comes back, or if it's consistent year over year, month over month, week over week. And that is what we want. Not something that's seasonal, but something that sells consistently so that we can build a store and profit, again, week over week, month over month, year over year, and build a healthy business that can either create a second stream of income or replace our full-time income. Now, once you have all of this research done, and you find ones that, by the way, pass all of those tests I just mentioned, the next step is to make sure you can locate at least 20 dropship-friendly suppliers. Now, what's a dropship-friendly supplier? It is a supplier, aka brand, that actually makes the products you want to sell that is being sold on other online-only stores. And we want to find at least 20 of them. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to become authorized to sell for all 20 on day one. Most likely, it's not going to be anywhere near that. Maybe you'll get a 50% approval rating, meaning if you found 20 brands, you'll be authorized to sell for 10 of them on day one, and the rest you'll get over time as your business grows and you have more of a trust factor, if we want to call it that. Now, before we move on to the next steps, by the way, we covered 9 so far. There are 29 total on this checklist. I just want to mention if you want any more specifics, specifically when it comes to niche selection and market research, I do have a free webinar. It's usually around 2 hours long. And on that, I go into detail and you can actually watch me perform all of these research tests. So if you want to see that, you can go to dropshipwebinar.com, DROPSHIP webinar.com, and that'll be linked up in the description as well. But at this point, once you find a niche, again, any of your 50 that passed all of these tests, and then you could find at least 20 dropship-friendly suppliers for, then we're going to move on to the next step of this process, which is signing up for Shopify. Now, that is our e-commerce platform of choice. If you've listened to any previous episodes, you definitely know that. I've been using them exclusively now since, I believe, 2012. So going on 12 years, 13 years now, to 2025 when I'm recording this. It's the best e-commerce platform. It's what we use. By the way, if you want a 3-day free trial and then your first 3 months for just $3, literally it's an insane deal, you can go to dsl.life/Shopify, and 90 days, just so you know, is more than enough time to launch your business. In fact, we have many members that do it within 21 days. Again, why not pay only $3? So that is dsl.life/Shopify. That'll be linked in the description as well. But once you make your Shopify account, the next step on our checklist here is to create that Shopify store. So I'll link to, again, a resource on that. Don't worry, I got you covered. And then basically what we do is upload what I call demo products. So at this point, again, we don't have any suppliers that we're actually selling for, right? And don't worry, again, that's coming in the checklist. We do things in order for a reason, like I mentioned. But the next step is to build that store, make your logo, make it look like you want it to look with your color scheme and whatnot, and then upload demo products. So what I mean by that is, again, if I was building that rug store, what I would do is go online and either find stock images of rugs, or I would use a tool like Magic Media from canva.com and get AI generated images of rugs. I would make a handful of product pages on my store that look like the products we're actually going to sell, but I'd give them fake names, write fake descriptions, and we're doing that so that when we contact suppliers, which again, we're gonna get to, they can envision what their products will look like on our store. But once you complete this step of the checklist, again, your store is built, it's looking good, you got those demo products uploaded, we move on to the next step, which is choosing a domain name. Now, again, I have done other episodes on domain name advice, so I will link to a relevant one below in the description. If you get stuck at this step, check that out. And from there, once you have your domain name, by the way, we buy it straight through Shopify. It's $15 a year. The next step is to remove the password from your Shopify store. Because Shopify, the way it works when you first create an account, it's not visible to the world. If somebody went to your domain name, it would ask them to type in a password to basically get access to it. So at this point, we are disabling the password protection so anybody that goes to our URL can see the site. And the reason we're doing that is because the next step is when we're starting to actually get suppliers. So the first thing I want you to do before you even reach out to any of the brands that you found in your earlier research, when you found those 20 brands, is to add your phone number, to add the suppliers' websites, phone numbers, and emails to your master supplier list. Now, your master supplier list is what you already researched earlier when you found those 20 plus brands that are dropship friendly. You're simply going to Google their brand names. You're going to find their actual websites, so the brand URL, not your competitors, but the brands you want to sell for. You're going to put that on your supplier list. Their phone numbers, you're going to get that from their website. Their email addresses, you're going to get that from their website. You're going to put that all next to your supplier names that you found earlier. Now, after that, the next step is to actually set up a business email address. So this would be your name at yourstore.com. So, Anton at thebestrugs.com, whatever we choose, sales at thebestrugs.com, support at thebestrugs.com. And to do that, by the way, we use Google Workspace. That's what I use. That's what I recommend. You could basically use Gmail, but with professional email address. We're also going to get a business phone number. For that, if you want a toll-free number, I recommend MightyCall, mightycall.com. But if you just want like a regular toll-free number, you can use a Skype number or Google Voice, and it'll literally ring to an app on your phone with any of those three methods. So you'll know when you're getting a business call, and you can also make outbound calls from that business phone number. Okay, so you're not using your personal number on your website. Now, for a mailing address, this is also something else that we get and that I recommend. For those, we get them at UPS stores. So let's keep that in mind so we're not putting our home address on any documents or on our website. Now, next step is to get approved with your first 5 suppliers. Remember, I mentioned earlier, you want to locate at least 20. Well, at this step, we're becoming authorized retailers for at least 5 of them, meaning we are reaching out to them. We are, in my case, always calling them when we find a phone number because it's just a lot quicker to get a yes or a no. After they approve you, they are going to send you all the information you need, their product images, their product descriptions, their product names, their product pricing. And what we do next is upload those to our store, and then we remove those demo products that I mentioned earlier. Now we have live products on our store. We have no demo products. Our store is basically ready to open for business. But before we open for business, we want to make sure that we have the highest probability of turning future website visitors into customers. So this is when we move on to the steps that I call optimizing for conversions. And the first step that we're doing here is installing an urgency app and a review app on Shopify. Now, there are lots of different apps that are good for urgency. By the way, I don't recommend fake urgency, so keep that in mind. I recommend actually having real expiring coupon codes, so special discounts that actually do expire at a set time. And then for the review app, we use an app called judge.me. They have a great Shopify app. That's what I recommend. And as far as for an urgency app goes, if you're a member of Dropship Lifestyle, again, our program, we actually have our own Shopify theme called Manhattan, and that has this built into it, so you don't need a third-party app for urgency. You could just use what we built into Manhattan, again, the Dropship Lifestyle Shopify theme. Now, next step, once that's set up, is to add content pages to your Shopify account. These are things like your About Us page, a price match policy, your privacy policy, terms of service, your shipping and returns policies. All of those you want to have added before you actually go live. Next step is to create Facebook and Instagram business pages. So whatever your store name is, whatever I said before, The Best Rugs, I'd make a Facebook page called The Best Rugs. I'd make an Instagram account called The Best Rugs. And after that, I would install Shopify email on my store. Now, Shopify email is used for email marketing, and with your Shopify account, it's actually free up to 10,000 emails you could send every month. So make sure you install that sooner rather than later so that you can follow up with everybody that opts in for your email list on your site. Now, how are they going to opt in? Well, you're going to have abandoned carts. You're also going to have people that purchase, so they're going to be customers. But the next step is to set up actions in your Shopify account for those bounced visits and abandoned carts. Now, abandoned carts, you probably know what that means. Again, people start the checkout process and don't finish. When that happens, we have an automated email series that goes out to them that basically says, come back for these reasons, complete your purchase. And bounced visits, those are people that are on your site that are either just idle, so they keep your site open and don't do anything for a while, or they start to move their mouse up to exit out of your site. What we do then is have a pop-up appear that asks them for their email, typically in exchange for a discount. When they enter their email, we use Shopify email to send them a series of emails offering them a discount to get them to actually come back and place their order. This is really going to increase your conversion rate and make your store much more profitable, which is why we're doing all of these things before we even worry about getting a website visitor. But once you complete those things, it is time to move on to the last group of action tasks that I'm giving you on this launch checklist. And these are all revolving around getting traffic, okay? So once your store is optimized for conversions, again, at this point, you already have the real products on it. Now it is time to get traffic. So the first thing I'm going to recommend you do is review something that I have called our compliance checklist. Now, this is something that's in Module 6 of the Dropship Blueprint for members of Dropship Lifestyle. And this goes through everything you want to literally triple check before you sign up for any ad accounts to make sure your accounts don't get banned. Again, if you're not a member of Dropship Lifestyle, I think you should become one. Check out dropshipwebinar.com for a free training plus a special offer to enroll. You'll save yourself some money, get some bonuses. Again, dropshipwebinar.com. And what I'll also try to do is see if I have any relevant episodes of the podcast on compliance. And if I do, I'll link to them in the description as well. But once you do that, you make sure your site is ad compliant. We're going to move on to the next step, which is where we sign up for a Google Ads account, where we sign up for Google Search Console, and where we sign up for Google Merchant Center. So Google Ads probably doesn't need an explanation. That's how you give Google money and they give you website visitors. Google Search Console is free, but it basically helps you get indexed faster, so get free traffic from Google. And it also shows if there's any errors on your site. And then once traffic starts coming through, it'll show what keywords people are searching, again, for free, and what they're clicking on. And Google Merchant Center, if you don't know what that is yet, it's a way you can submit your products to Google so that you can appear in Google Shopping, both in the free section and the paid. Now, after that, what we're going to do is set up our first Google Shopping campaigns and our Google remarketing campaigns. Specifically, pay close attention to the word Google Shopping campaigns. We're not doing search text ads. We're not doing display ads on Google. We are doing Google Shopping, which are the highest converting source of traffic we have. So that's definitely what should come first when it comes to investing money into ads. And then remarketing is also set up within Google, where if somebody goes to your website, they're looking at product 123, then they go to CNN.com or basically any huge website online, even smaller websites. They'll see that exact product they looked at on your store, and if they click it, it'll take them back to that product page on your store. Now, after that, what we do is sign up for Bing ads, sign up for Bing Webmaster Tools, and also with Bing Merchant Center, where you can add your store to Bing. Same way we do it for Google. Now, if you're wondering, like, why would I even set up stuff on Bing? Listen, it's going to make up like 20 or 25% of traffic in comparison to Google, but that's still a massive amount of people that you can get that can buy from you where your competitors most likely aren't running traffic. So don't skip this step in the checklist. But after that, what you're going to do is just proceed to the next step, which is creating your first Bing shopping campaign. Now, Bing knows most people that sign up there are coming from Google, so they make it very, very simple. And when you're setting up your Bing campaigns, it's going to ask you, do you want to import your campaigns from Google? You're going to say yes, and everything you set up on Google for Google Shopping is going to automatically be imported and created inside your Bing ad account. And from there, the only change I recommend making is lowering your budgets. So whatever you set your daily budgets are, daily budgets at, I should say, for Google, just make it 25% of that for Bing. Now, after that, the next step we're going to do is sign up for Facebook, aka Meta Business Manager. And in there, we're going to next, final step, create your first Facebook remarketing campaign. This is also going to be a dynamic remarketing campaign with a very small budget. And what this is going to do is once people find your website by coming to, again, coming from, I should say, Google Organic or Google Shopping, whatever it is, when they go on Facebook or Instagram later in the day, they're going to see ads from your store that show them the exact products they were looking at. And when they click those links, it's going to go straight back to those product pages so they can complete their order. In addition to that, again, you're going to have your remarketing set up across every site Google is installed on, Google AdSense, I should say. And because you set up Shopify email and you set up those different automations for abandoned carts and abandoned visits, those people are also going to be receiving emails from you. That's going to bring them back and get you a much higher conversion rate and make your store much more money. So guys, I hope you found this checklist helpful. Again, any relevant trainings that I have, I will post below this in the description so you could check them out. But definitely, if you haven't already or you haven't recently, my advice would be to go to dropshipwebinar.com, DROPSHIP webinar.com. Get that about 2-hour free training that goes into everything in detail, and you can watch me do these things via screen shares. And other than that, make sure you download this while it's available. The link to the Google Drive document will be below. Open it up, click File, make a copy. You'll have an editable version inside of your Google Drive account, or simply click the PDF download link and you'll have this PDF saved on your computer where you can go through it or print it out and use it, with a pen and paper, old school. All those options work. So hopefully you got value. If you did, let me know in the comments. And with that being said, I'll be back next week to share something else, hopefully just as valuable, if not more, right here on Dropship Lifestyle. Thank you, everybody.